Hey everybody, welcome back for another Mad Panic game review filled to the brim with bullets, bombs, and more massive explosions than you can shake a 50 caliber machine gun at. We must be talking about another shoot 'em up, and yes indeed I am reviewing the most recent shooter to hit the Nintendo Switch, and one of my personal all-time favorites, and that is the one and only Under Defeat. If you've never heard of it, it was released in Japanese arcades in 2005 and later ported to the Sega Dreamcast the following year, making it one of the last games to grace that console. And it later received an HD upgrade on the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was developed by G-Rev, which is definitely a more obscure developer, but one game of note from them is the ever so awesome Border Down, another fantastic shooter that had a port to the Dreamcast in its twilight years, but has otherwise been all but forgotten. Anyway, I'd only ever played the Dreamcast version of Under Defeat and was really hyped to pick up this latest port and see what, if any, improvements could be made. So let's take a closer look and find out if this is an instant classic, or was I better off sticking with the good old Dreamcast version? First of all, I should point out that this port was handled by City Connection, and I have enjoyed a lot of their more recent ports of shooters, most notably Akai Katana and Death Smiles, both of which were essentially direct ports of their Xbox 360 versions, so the case may be the same here. As I said, I'd only played the Dreamcast version of Under Defeat, but I'm guessing this is probably what was also available on the 360 and PS3. That being said though, I am very happy with this port in terms of gameplay, the various modes available, the visuals, and the sound design. For starters, the original arcade version of Under Defeat is available, complete with its original aspect ratio, which you may or may not care for. If you've never played this game before, it's a vertically scrolling shooter that has you piloting several different helicopters that can move in 45-degree angles to the left or right. So if you were hoping you'd have a full range of motion like in Zero Gunner, that's not the case. And the setting is a kind of alternate reality World War II reminiscent scenario, pitting an empire against a union. But there's not much backstory aside from that. Each of the game's 4 different ships has a different primary shot, but they can all pick up 3 different helper options for some added firepower. And they include a Vulcan machine gun, a missile launcher, and a single-shot power missile that can absolutely flatten enemies. They are limited in their use though, as indicated by the corresponding meter on the bottom left of the screen. Once an option is activated, it only stays active for a limited time before you have to wait until the meter fills up again, with each weapon having a different wait time. And you also get a limited supply of super bombs, and this just might be my favorite from any shoot 'em up ever, as it unleashes a full-on carpet bombing that annihilates everything on screen, and it is so satisfying. Honestly, in terms of the explosions, the sound effects, all of the smoke and fire, and sheer chaos, Under Defeat has to be high in the running for most destructive shoot 'em up ever, and I love it. There's a variety of enemies to take on, some epic boss battles, and a decent challenge. It's 5 stages of 100% awesome shooting action, and that's just the arcade mode. In addition to Arcade, we also get New Order Mode and New Order Mode Plus, and they're both pretty cool. New Order is essentially the exact same game as the original Arcade, except that now it's in a 16:9 widescreen aspect ratio, which after playing both modes quite extensively, this is definitely the way to go. So if you want to play a standard game of Under Defeat in widescreen, this is the mode for you. On the other hand, there's New Order Mode Plus, which tweaks the gameplay a bit and actually makes it more challenging. For starters, a nice change is that your ships can now rotate at 90 degrees to the right or left as opposed to only 45. And there's the introduction of the warning gauge, which is visible at the top of the screen. When this gauge is full, enemy reinforcements are called in to try and take you out, which is pretty manageable at first, but once you get a bit deeper into the game and you're already dealing with more enemies and bullets than you were before, well, let's just say when the reinforcements are called in, things can get pretty hectic. But damn is it a lot of fun, and a cool little addition to what was already an intense and challenging shooter. Of course, if you want even more challenge, you can adjust the difficulty to your liking, and each gameplay mode comes with a corresponding practice mode which allows you to play any section of any stage as many times as you want, sharpening your skills for that eventual 1cc. Not me though, I'm a filthy casual. On top of that, this port features some fantastic updated visuals and not one but 4 different soundtracks to play to, including an all-new boosted soundtrack, similar to what City Connection did with their port of BoxerB. And all of the music sounds great. They even threw in a bonus little art gallery for good measure, which is always appreciated. So, Under Defeat on the Nintendo Switch is one hell of a great shooter. The gameplay, graphics, and sound are all top-notch, and there are a variety of ways to enjoy them. There are a ton of shooters to choose from on the Switch these days, and it can be hard to decide which one you should pick up, but if you ask me, Under Defeat should be right at the top of every shooter fan's list, as it's now one of my favorite shooters in the Switch library, and that's saying a lot. You can also pick it up on the PS4 and PS5, and there's also a PC and Xbox version currently in the works, in addition again to the PS3, Xbox 360, and the good old Dreamcast. So whatever way you can, play Under Defeat immediately, because it's awesome.